I've got so many of these at this point. I need to start pumping them out because I can make a ton of these videos really if I wanted to. So it took me a while to figure out which one I want to tell because there's a lot of fucking really crazy stories. And at the end of this video, I'll name 3 of them and let you guys pick which one I do next, whichever gets the most comments in the comment section. If none of them get comments in the comment section, then I'll choose myself. So this story is gonna be when I got pulled over on acid and I guess nearly arrested, pretty much. So me and my friend, and don't worry, not all my stories are gonna be acid stories. This is just as far as crazy stories comes to mind, this one's probably my favorite because it's not too reckless and it's not boring. Me and my friend do this campgrounds that had a trail on it, and we both dropped some acid when we got there. Now this place was right behind a sheriff's station in my hometown, and my stepdad was a cop at the time. So if we got caught, they would have immediately phoned my stepdad once they figured out who I was. I wanted to make another drug story video where we were in our cars and we drove for a while before this happened, before we got to the campgrounds, and we were looking for parks while we were coming up. And at first it was just off limits. We were like, no, let's find somewhere else. But after we couldn't find anywhere else, I was like, yeah, it really wouldn't bother me. That plus he's not very sensitive to drugs or psychedelics in general. When he describes a 3.5 tab experience, it pretty much sounds to me like a tab and a quarter, maybe a tab and a half. It's pretty much, his tolerance is pretty much double that of a normal human. And so he pulls out his trombone, and we're pretty far away from the police station, but it still kind of weirded me out that he pulls out his trombone and just starts playing really, really loudly. And we're having a lot of fun, and I'm sitting there running around going, yay, I can move around now. Park and walk down the trail, and I was on 100 micrograms, one full tab. And I believe Den was on 350 micrograms, and Den's a pretty big guy. At this time, he was probably at least 260 pounds. That's a story for another time. So we went back to our cars because it got really dark and kind of chilly outside. So we went back to our cars and turned on the heat and decided we'll get in one car and listen to music. And it's 9:30, 10 o'clock. And we're right next to the sheriff's station at this point, just in a parking lot. And a cop comes and drives around in the parking lot, and he comes up driving towards us, and he pulls out a flashlight and he shines it right in our eyes, and waved at him, and I just looked at him and looked off, trying to act normal. Just I looked in his general direction to acknowledge that yes, I do see this light, and then looked off I don't care. And he didn't really know what he was waving at, so he kind of just hoped he waved in the right direction. And I think Trey kept saying that he thinks we're done for, oh fuck, we're gonna get arrested. But then the cop went away. Just trying to see what we were doing, I guess. And he said, I really thought we were done for. And I was like, oh shit, dude, I remember, I used to feel like that sometimes a lot. I still do from time to time on psychs, but it's been a while since I've taken a psych. But back then, I had been really, really experienced with them. One tab was not gonna make me paranoid. So we were good, and everything was fine. We decided we're gonna drive closer to home, into a church, somewhere that's cooler. We're gonna drive to a church that's not in session. So yeah, it was about 3 miles away from where I live, and my mom, it was her car that I was driving, so I was kind of worried that she would start texting me where's my car, but she never once texted me. I never told her what time I was coming back, so I mean she was pretty cool as far as that went. She trusted me, and she didn't really care. I remember I texted her and I was like, sorry that I'm not back yet or anything. I promise that nothing bad's happening. I'm just hanging out with you. And she was like, oh, it's all good. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I shouldn't freak out that bad. So, on the way driving towards this church, after leaving the sheriff's station, I noticed that driving seemed more difficult for some reason. And I don't understand why, because it's almost like I see everything just fine and I'm doing all the movements the same, but for some reason I can't tell if I'm doing bad or if I'm doing really good, because I thought I was doing fine. Like, I thought, like, it looked like I was doing, like, perfectly straight. But it was almost like I could barely see the lines, and I barely knew what I was doing. It was weird, so I just kind of felt like there's no way I'm driving this good. I have to be swerving. As soon as I say that to the phone, because we were talking while we were driving over the phone, a cop pulls up behind me and turns his lights on. I'm like, oh shit. Oh my god, I keep calling him by his name. I'm gonna have to bleep that out. Dim. For Lord's sake, I mean dim by those bleeps. Just cracking off one-liners. I'm like, got my window down and this cop coming up to me, and I'm like, shut the fuck up. And then I hang up. So the cop pulls up behind me and tells me to go into the store that's right next to us. And so I'm like, okay. I get him back in my car and pull up to the store, and he tells me to get out of the car. And he asks for the license and insurance, which I already had on my hand. And he told me that my lights were out. And I was like, in my head I was thinking, oh shit, that's why I felt like I couldn't see anything. It's because the lights were out. But I'd only been driving for probably 20 seconds when he pulled me over. So if he gave me probably 20 more seconds, I would have probably caught up to the fact that my lights were off. And I told him I had no idea that they were off and that it was not really my car, it was my mom's car. And I thought that she told me the lights came on automatically. And he said, well, they might be turned off. And I was like, let me see. And yep, they were. So I flipped them back on and they turned on. And he was like, hell, have a good day. And I said, you too, man, thank you. And Jim, was inside of the store getting water and whatnot. And he came outside and he handed me a water. And he was like, okay, from now on, if we're on acid, you talk to the cops. And I agreed. Oh, yeah, let me talk to the cops. Because this was also situations that I planned out. Every time that me and him did substances, or anytime me and most of my friends did them, it was planned out, and it was I was the person who knew what they were doing kind of in the situation. I scaled everything out, weighed everything out. I'm the one who got a hold of them, of the substances, and it was really, really dangerous. I wouldn't recommend it. Driving on acid, period. Driving on drugs, period, I wouldn't recommend. That was pretty interesting. I think words I described it as is being the most comfortable I've ever felt. And he said, I feel like I am mentally retarded. Like I'm a mentally retarded third grader. And I hate it. So yeah, that was the story of the time that I got pulled over on acid, and I can't believe he didn't arrest me. I guess he had no idea, but my pupils are humongous, dude. I looked at them in the mirror before I got out, and they were gigantic. If he would have asked me, I probably would have told him I was on antidepressants. Those do that too. But next story, vote in the comments. Let's see, we're gonna go for either. We're going to talk about my first time. What's your advice for everyone eating So he said, yeah, and then he threw something and said, what the hell was that? Don't get trapped in the dryer again, please.
Hey, everybody.
There's still some poop on your lip, dude.